friends, welcome back to my studio. Hope you're well. I love watching people paint, so I thought I would do just a straight painting vlog this week. I'm going to work on this piece here, and last week we were talking a little bit about composition. As you can see, the composition as it stands on this one at the moment, I've got this dark mass which is almost a bullseye type of thing. If I step out of the way, and you can see it's not a good idea to have your focal point as a bullseye type of design. So this is a seascape sort of thing I've got in mind, and I think I'll need to push this a bit more over, because if we think of the rule of thirds as a basic composition format, so that's 1/3 and another third, it's a really good idea to have your horizon on one of these third lines. So third's about there and another one about there. So I'll be pushing this up, I think, to have the horizon somewhere along that line there. And of course we can divide the canvas up into thirds this way, and where these lines here intersect, they're really good places to have your focus, something of interest. Probably not both, you'd choose one. And so this here, if I can get roughly, I'm just talking roughly, this point here is where I'm going to want to move that up into there, and that will really help the composition and how this sits in a landscape. Giving someone a horizon, giving the eye a horizon, really helps land the person and place them in the piece, particularly if it's a bit more abstract. It can be, you don't have to have that, of course, at all. But currently I'm quite liking having a horizon, so I'll be putting in a bit of a horizon, moving this mass just slightly up into this focal area here. I could do another focal point here as a nice diagonal composition. Yeah, there's a lot you can do. It's all personal preference and how you like to work, really. And it's fun to play around with different things. Certainly when it's at this stage, I can put this up here with the horizon and see how I'm liking it. I can always, that's what's great about painting, I can move this, I could also move this down into this third. Oops, into somewhere here. So, but at the moment, can you see that it's in the middle third? And so it's not doing anything for the composition at all. It needs to come over and up, or over and down. So I'm going to mix up some paint, start throwing some on the surface and see how we go. Hope you enjoy watching it come together. So you can see, hopefully, putting that horizon and moving that mass, how, and obviously a lot more paint, but how this is recognizable without having any more, adding any more kind of realistic marks or shading, that we can tell now very much this is a landscape. It's important to step away from your work often, as you saw me do. It gives you a different version of it, so because you get quite used to looking at it and putting some distance. Well, one, you want to make sure it still works at a distance, and two, it just changes your perspective, so you get almost like fresh eyes on it. I guess I'm assessing when I'm looking at it, as you saw me adjust that just looked too flat and wasn't a mass enough, so I built that up. There's still a little bit of the first layer showing. I've still got some of the first layer here, because I really like this bit, and I haven't done a lot here. So yeah, there's tiny bits of that first layer. So, you know, most of it is covered, and that's why I say don't stress too much about the first layer. It's all going to be covered up. But as you start to cover it, then you can find really interesting bits that will stay. So that's why it's important not just to start straight away painting, because if I didn't have that first layer, one, it helps build the surface up, particularly with acrylic paint. It can dry so flat, and you know, it's quite thin compared to oil paint. I think you really need some layers on there with that particular paint. So it helps build your surface up and give it substance, but it also gives you something to respond to. I'm stopping now and talking to you because I'm at a point with this where now I don't know where to go. So I need some time away from it, maybe a little bit more time sitting and contemplating. And I thought it might be useful if you could hear what I'm thinking. Now this bit here, bring it up closer. As you saw me putting a bit of dark there to see whether I wanted to bring the mountain all the way across. And I'm not sure I want to. I think it's a bit too heavy, but this at the moment is really clumsy for me. So that's where I'm like, well, I don't know what to do with that. So I'll leave that for the moment. And this area here in the sky, it's a little bit busy for me. When I'm looking at it, I can feel my eye coming up to this area. And while that's fine if I've got something interesting there, but if we think about our rule of thirds, I want the focal point to be more here. At the moment it's coming up here, and the danger of that is the eye will just shoot off the side of the page or the canvas, and the person will go, okay, I'm done with that, I'm not interested. Yeah, you really want to captivate the audience to stay within, and that's why something like this sort of scoop, you've got your horizon that's leading the eye, and then they're scooped back into the piece. So I need to quieten down this area. I do know that. This, while I like the mass, I think it needs a little bit of shading, a little bit of light, a little bit of contrast brought into there. There's only just the tiniest amount in these little flecks. So this needs a little bit more work. This was great, but it needed something. And then I remembered when we were mixing, I did that vlog on mixing these colors, and I'll link that here, adding this transparent red oxide, which is the complementary color to blue greens. So that's why that works really well, even though it's an earthy tone, and you could say, why would you have an earthy tone in the water? But yeah, I think that really works. It just gives it something that this area didn't have before. And I'm also at a point with this that I'm really liking all of this, and I think I'm not done, but I'm not sure what to do, and I'm a little bit precious of, well, I don't want to lose that, I don't want to lose that, I don't, you know, there's too much that I like there at the moment. So again, I need to break away from that to help me. I think this is becoming quite successful too. So yeah, the next steps for this, bit of work into here, make a decision about where and what really what this third of the piece is doing, what's going on there, and sorting this, calming that area down, and possibly having a little bit more contrast here, and that will help lead the eye, because of course the eye naturally is attracted to any strong areas of contrast, which is why when you're looking at this piece you're drawn to these areas here, but the contrast here is not quite as strong. So I need to do a little bit with that. I do like to pay attention to my sides. I don't often have the work framed because it's very expensive to do, which can add to the price then for the purchaser. And even if it is framed, the type of framing that you would do, the box frame, you can still see a little bit of the side. So I really like to have my sides painted as a continuation of this surface. You don't have to do that, of course. You can paint these, keep these white and nice and crisp. You can paint these sides, which I used to do, in another colour, a band, but I've decided I really do prefer to have the sides painted. So that's where you see me going over. That one hasn't got as much going on because I haven't decided what I'm doing with here. So you can see it's got like the first layer, but nothing much more. And I'm painting through the top as well as I go, and the bottom gets a little bit harder to do because you're against the easel, so that hasn't got much at all on there yet. And I also haven't done much to the bottom of the piece. So there we go, that's where I'm at now, probably what I'd call the second stage or the middle stage. And because I guess I've done this for a long time and I kind of know, well, I hope I know what I'm doing, this is looking quite good at the moment. And part of the reason why I'm stopping is because it's at that point of, if I do more now, it could get very messy and I could ruin things. And I think that's the point where a lot of people get stuck and stop, because no, it's not a completed painting, but this is probably scarier than beginning for me, and probably, I know a lot of people, which is why I did the vlog about the scary white canvas, which again I can link here if that works. But this can be a point of becoming very, very stuck because you're starting to like a lot of it, but you know it's not a completely resolved painting. And you do have to allow your painting to have a messy stage, and having the confidence to know you can bring it back from that into a resolved piece. And I think part of why that is difficult to do is because in many things in life, we don't often finish, or perhaps we finish things less than we do start things. So we get quite good at beginning, and it takes a lot more practice to really push through and finish a piece. So I'll do a part 2 of this to see where I take this again, and I will, again, if it's helpful, talk you through the decisions I'm making and what I do and why. Okay. Yeah, I'm very happy to be playing around with these blues. There's some beautiful colours in there. It's really, really lovely. So that's it from me. I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.